Dridhananda, welcome back to the Blissful Athlete, everybody. Today I've got an awesome video session. I'm excited to introduce you to my new friend Savannah, who we've met across TikTok of all places.
Yeah.
You were blowing up there. Mainly, I came across you is because of your Tibetan singing bowl sound meditations to help just calm the mind, deepen meditations, awaken third eye, and getting millions of views and really helping out so many people. And naturally, that video or learning about your singing bowl meditations led to more videos and understanding what your message is about, which is really teaching how to live just a more healthy and natural lifestyle, whether that's dealing with anxiety, healing from toxic environments, the meditation techniques like we had mentioned. And so I think it's really important that what your message is gets out there. It's not something I've really spoken about on my channel, talking about empaths and these different types of meditation techniques, especially the sound bowl meditation. I've absolutely fallen in love with them when I was introduced, and I think you've got an amazing talent for and ear for that meditation technique. And so I just really want to acknowledge you and say that I'm excited to have you here to share a little bit more about your journey and how you've come from being you have a Christian background, right? And all the way to this new being that is able to enrich lives with a multitude of different tools and techniques. And so if you're an empath out there, Savannah's got a lot of powerful information for you. If you don't know you're an empath, you might be somebody that has a lot of empathy, overwhelmed by intimacy, strong intuition. You might struggle in crowded places. So this episode is going to be for you. We're going to talk about a little bit more about how you can work on dealing with certain anxiety issues, maybe increase your intuition, and a little bit about third eye and how that comes into play with all of this too. And so Savannah, thank you so much for coming here. And my first question is, like, when did you have your spiritual evolution from going from this Christian background to this awakening and this journey that you're now on?
So the bulk of it was probably during a dark night of the soul that I had 2018, 2019. But it really started 2014, the first time that I stepped into a metaphysical shop. They had a lot of like pagan as well as Hindu and just all sorts of different eclectic collection of, crystals, herbs, books, sound bowls. And I just felt so much curiosity and connection and peace when I had been taught my entire childhood that places like this were evil, that they were like occultic. So that first time that I stepped into that, and they were burning Nag Champa, and they had some really nice like meditation music playing. And yeah, the first time that I stepped in, it was like I stepped into a whole nother world. Like I had gone through a portal. And like I said, I had been taught that things like this were just evil and bad inherently. And the experience of going into that first store, and I was 19 at the time, was so opposite of what I had been taught, which just piqued my curiosity more and more and more and more. And I learned about, I became obsessive. I think a lot of people who are starting out in getting into their spirituality, you're so curious. There's so much to learn. It's so fascinating. And the way that it can start to integrate into your life is even more fascinating. And it's just this ongoing like obsession and pull and curiosity. And so I learned, one of the first things that I learned, actually, I bought a book on space clearing because I figured at the time, because I was still coming out of that fundamentalist Christian background. At the time, I was like, oh, this isn't, I like justified it to myself. Like, it's space clearing. It can't be that bad. And this is the first time that I learned how to like move energy and work with my environment in that way. So I did that for about, I can get into my whole story, but does that kind of answer your question?
Yeah. So you dove into it, and I was the same way. It was just one book led to another, and like meditation, I would just sit down for hours. I was learning about crystals, I was so enveloped in this new path as well, and it was just such an eye-opening phase of my life, and so I can resonate in a lot of ways. What was it that really you kind of hooked onto, that intrigued you most, and that allowed you to dive deeper into this new spiritual practice? Was it the sound bowl meditations? Was it
That
energy?
developed
Like,
later.
yeah.
The sound healing definitely developed a lot later. So I read the book on space clearing, and I had just gotten my first apartment. And the way, just feeling like and experiencing feng shui and how like everything in my reality, my like little apartment I first got was a direct out picturing of myself. To see that, the experience of it was what I was like, this isn't like something to theorize on. This isn't philosophy. Like, this is real.
Yeah, and these, you can't you can't overemphasize the importance of having experiences on your spiritual journey. A lot of people, like, were raised in maybe like a Christian background. You're just told that certain belief systems or something, and it doesn't necessarily connect with you because you haven't had any profound experience. And that's how I was. I grew up atheist. I had no real solid experience of anything spiritual, and so it wasn't until my own awakening that I had just one experience after another, which was a result of my seeking deeper and deeper into these various different truths. Just for everybody that is live here, I know I've seen a couple questions. If you have questions, you can definitely leave those. We'll take questions throughout regarding really anything spirituality. Will be open to a lot of different questions. So please do leave those. One thing I talked to you about before coming on camera was just the background of being an empath. Were you an empath before, or did you realize that you were an empath? What really led you down that path of helping others heal their anxiety and that type of energy?
Okay. So I've definitely been an empath my whole life. There have been times in my life where I have really suppressed it with like excessive alcohol use, partying all the time, surrounding myself with like loud music, with the wrong people, with relationships, just really suppressing and dulling it because it's a lot to handle. But I didn't realize it until I was 22. So 3 years into my exploration, in congruence with me being in college at the time. So I had just moved away from home, like in college. I was out of like the, will I say the word cult? Maybe out of that grasp. And I finally found the term one day. I don't remember when, but I was 22 and I remember finding the term empath and just reading everything I could on it and being like, this explains absolutely everything about my experience. I'm not broken. I'm not weird. I'm not any of these things. I'm just gifted in psychic feeling naturally, which is kind of like what being an empath is. You're able to feel other people's emotions, feel the energy of the room as your own.
Yeah.
And know it in this way, which can be such a powerful gift when you're working with people with the intention of helping them heal themselves, but such a curse when you're not awakened to it and you're unconscious of it because you're always reading, you got your little tentacles out and you're always reading things. It can be exhausting. That's like one of the number one complaints that I get from people coming to me for help is, I'm so freaking exhausted all the time. Like, I don't know what to do. So anxiety is the reason that I say that I target anxiety, which is anxiety is just a manifestation of fear of the ego, is because I don't know if I have come across a single empath that's just learning that they're an empath that doesn't have anxiety. Because, like I said, you're so overloaded in a way that you're not even conscious of, and you end up exhausted and you end up anxious and you have all these feelings and worries and fears that are not even your own a lot of the time. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, and I think I mean, the vast majority of people on the planet today suffer from anxiety, and so
A lot of them
and
do.
they might not even have a clue why. They might be walking into rooms and crowded places and be just absorbing all this negativity, negative energy, and just be
They don't know.
completely, yeah,
Mhm.
oblivious to it. And so if you're somebody that's out there and you're kind of going through this awakening process and you're thinking, oh, maybe I am an empath, um, that does kind of sound like me. What would you say some basic tips are for them right away? And we talked about this off camera,
Mhm.
just something simple for maybe somebody that's
Okay.
on the beginning of their journey.
Okay. So, three things. Number one is and these are all going to sound cliche and they're all going to sound simple. That's where the magic is. It's always
Yeah.
the simple things, right? You have to meditate. If you don't meditate as an empath, even just like 10 minutes a day in the morning, if you don't meditate as an empath, it's like you're not brushing your teeth. You're not caring for yourself properly, not caring for your energy properly. Meditation will create, not only will you go within and touch that, have communion with that space inside you that is unchanging, the spirit, but also it gives an opportunity to ground into the present. And that's probably the second thing, not only meditation, but also like intentional grounding, like putting your feet on the bare earth will do. It sounds so hippie, it sounds so simple. Putting your feet on the bare earth will change your day. You know what I'm talking
Oh yeah.
about?
Oh yeah.
I used to work in a microelectronics lab. Earth is the ultimate ground. All the electrical systems in your house ultimately get strung out to a copper rod in the ground where it is grounded. And if you don't have a ground in an electrical system and you are an electrical system, then charge can get built up and short circuit things. So there
Mm.
has to be a way to release things, like putting your feet on the earth, swimming in the ocean, even just like taking a bath, anything that brings you back into your body, enacting the five senses, or I like to think of it in terms of like the four elements, like getting blown by a bunch of wind just it brings you into your body. Anything that brings you into your body in the present moment is grounding. So grounding, meditation, and then third, I would encourage you to look at your diet. Please, like every empath that is listening to this right now, look at your diet. There's, especially if you live in the US, there's so many chemicals and byproducts and animal products that are so harmful to us physically, and then of course that manifests spiritually and mentally.
Mm. And one thing I would just add to that is once you do all those things to help yourself protect yourself, and uh, I know a lot of people,
Shielding.
yeah, a lot of people
Hmm.
understand there's ways of doing this. Like you could actually even create a field around you through a
Hmm.
visualization of meditation. You can
Hmm.
incorporate crystals. You can incorporate Rudraksha. This is the one thing that's a little bit more unique, I would say, uh, in the background of Sanatana Hindu Dharma is the Rudraksha beads. Very powerful in storing energy and protecting your energy. So once you do all those things, um, all of those are going to be beneficial. But then if you are somebody that you have to be in a certain environment, use all the
Hmm.
tools and techniques that can support you in that as well. Um,
Black tourmaline is a really good crystal. I always recommend
yeah.
black
Um,
tourmaline.
so if okay, I'll take a quick question. Somebody says that Govind says that he lost his job, not stressed. I'm not stressed. Is this normal, or I'm not just feeling enough? Is this kind of depression uh, or effective pranayama? So it sounds like he's been practicing pranayama. He's lost his job, but he's not really feeling all that depressed. Um, is this like a hidden depression to him, or is this just a result of his tapas, his sadhana, such as his pranayama? Would you have any words on that at all?
I think that ultimately he knows what's going on with himself.
Yeah, I was
It's
thinking.
just a matter of listening.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing.
Ultimately, you already know what's going on. You're looking for outside confirmation, which is not always bad. But you already know what's going on. If you can get quiet and ask and then just listen.
Yeah. And we tend to overthink things. If you don't feel depressed, if you feel like present and in the moment, and you're not lost in the mind, when something that should be stressful comes up, like that, in my opinion, is a result of sadhana. That's the result. If you are practicing pranayama continuously, that's another technique to keep the body energized, to keep the mind still. So I would just say that's just a result of your practice. So keep it up. As far
also,
no, go ahead. No, go ahead.
Also, that's just such a classic like ego technique or trick to be like, oh, everything's going great, but what if it secretly wasn't? You know, like, but what if it wasn't?
Yeah.
So just say to yourself, but what if it was?
Yeah. We'll take one more question before I ask you something else myself. Somebody's asking, is it a clean diet required for a clearer mind or cleaner mind? You'd mentioned diet.
I'm actually interested on your answer because I know you're on the liquid diet for over a year now. I mean, literally, the cells of the food that you put in your body become the cells that your body has to build with. So when they say you are what you eat, that's what they mean. So yes. And why would you not want to put the best things possible into your body? That's like total self-care, total self-love, and it makes you feel amazing. Like the energy that you can have from having a clean diet. And I'm not saying that every once in a while you shouldn't have an Oreo or two, but just in general, like prioritizing putting good things into your body shows not only your body that you love it, but communicates to the entire universe that you are intending and acting upon being good to yourself. And then that will ripple out in how you treat others and how you are treated in return.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, my take would be, the mind is, it provides either illusion or delusion. We have these various different psychological highs and lows. We might feel really happy, we might feel really sad, but both are a delusion or an illusion. There's the truth is that you are eternal bliss. Your true conscious nature is that you are unwavering. It's the mind that wavers, and the various different things that we input into our body, whether that's through sound or through listening to other people's words or through digesting certain foods, that all does affect not just your body but also the mind. And even just something as simple as what modern day science is showing, that 90% of your serotonin is created in your gut bacteria. So if you're consuming dead flesh, decaying flesh, and it's sitting in your stomach, alcohol, all these different things, the pesticides, the toxins that you mentioned earlier,
poison.
Exactly. When that sits in your gut, it literally affects the state of your consciousness. And so without a doubt, would completely agree with you that the cleaner the diet that you have, the cleaner your mind will be. And really, this is something that as you refine and find what works best for you, Dridhananda, she does a lot of Ayurvedic consultations that really dives into each individual and what type of dosha they have, how they should be incorporating certain foods in their diet and how that affects the mind. You could really get as narrow as that, or you can just be as simple as, look, just start vegan or start transitioning to vegetarianism, and you'll start to experience yourself what you and I are talking about. And that's, I want to come back to that it's all about your experience. I can say something. I always tell people, like, don't listen.
It's got a ground.
Yeah, don't listen to me. Just let it connect with yourself, and if you have that experience, then you'll understand that this is a truth for you. Okay, I want to transition. I keep asking your questions, everybody, but I just wanted to talk to Savannah a little bit about intuition as well, and to see if you've had any interesting experiences along your journey, maybe one of your first experiences of third eye awakening or intuition. I would love to hear something about that.
Okay. I actually, when I think about like, when is my first intuitive, when is my first spiritual experience, when was that first time that I felt my spirit and I knew that I was connected in some way to something else, something bigger? And I knew that I was a part of a greater whole. And I was actually 6 years old on the playground, and the wind was blowing through my hair. It was like right before a storm, and you could like smell the rain already. And I just knew, like, oh, okay. Like I see there's something going on here. So that was one of probably the first time I actually, so I've had a near death experience at the age of 4. I've had 11 heart surgeries. I was born like very defective heart, and they they were like from the right where your like leg meets your torso, like that crease, they often go up there to the heart, and they poked my stomach on the way, and I bled out, and I was dead for like 3 or 4 minutes. So I definitely think that incorporates into my spiritual realization in general from a very young age. But in my adult life, when I was 22, I predicted a death of someone that I hadn't spoken to in like 5 years.
Oh.
Out of nowhere. It was like, I woke up on a Saturday morning, and it actually just passed, I think, the third year anniversary of their passing. It's not that I predicted their death. Let me tell you what happened. I woke up on a Saturday morning, I went to the bathroom, and in my head, this person just popped in. I hadn't thought of their existence in 5 years. I hadn't seen them in 10 years. I didn't have them on any social media platforms. And it just popped in my head, and I just had this voice say, my higher self, or maybe a guide or something, say, they're not okay, you need to reach out to them. And I did reach out to them. They never saw my message, and they took their own life the next day.
Wow.
So that was at 22, I'm 26 now. At 22, that was like a really, like, wow, I don't even know where the heck that came from, but apparently I was receptive to that message, and I tried, and it didn't work, unfortunately. They never saw the message, but yeah, that was crazy.
Yeah, that's a powerful experience, especially when you're on that beginning part of your journey. It's unfortunate that they did take their life, but at the same time, to see a positive in that is, today it's probably very reassuring that when somebody is struggling in some way, whether they're connected with you or not, that you can pick up on that and you can support people. And whether that means just creating a video or doing a certain meditation one day, you can communicate to people through a lot of different avenues, rather than maybe just a direct text message. And so, I mean, that's a powerful story and an encouraging one. I'm sure for you. For other people out there that are interested in increasing intuition or improving or awakening their third eye, do you have any specific techniques or methods that you would suggest others to increase their intuition?
I mean, we have to start with talking about decalcifying the pineal gland, right? Not a lot of people know this, but every mainline chakra in the body, the 7, because I think there's like 112 of them actually in the body, but we think mostly of just the 7 mainline ones. Each of the 7 mainline ones, they correspond with a major hormonal gland, and that's so cool because it's not this made up thing. Not that I ever thought it was, but it has a physical side. Everything that's spiritual has a physical side.
Yeah.
So the third eye, psychic center, awareness center, is the pineal gland. It looks like a little pine cone in the brain, and we're not quite sure what it does yet. We know like kind of what it does, kind of like the appendix. We're like, we know it does something, but we're not 100% sure about the like complete role. But this is believed to be like that awareness center, that psychic center, because everybody has the ability and is truly psychic, but there's so many layers of ego and calcification on the pineal gland that keeps us from tapping into different knowledge and feeling and knowing bits of information, because we're in one unified quantum field. we, by that logic, should be able to access information from, like, that girl, her name was Hannah. We lived at the time probably like 1,000 miles away, but so decalcifying the pineal gland, cum powder is good for that, right?
Yeah, kumkum, the
My
red
bad.
processed turmeric. Yeah.
I wear that sometimes. Thank you for the recommendation. Water, watching your water. I know you have a really expensive water system, right? That's like an investment that I think is one of the best that you can make in your like adult life, is making sure that the water you're drinking doesn't have like crap loads of fluoride.
Yeah.
That's probably the best place to start.
Yeah. I completely
Sheila G.
agree with
Sheila G.
Sheila G. Yeah. Keep going.
Sheila G is a really good supplement for decalcifying the pineal gland. And when I say that decalcifying, there's calcification or fluorination is when there's layers of either fluoride or calcium chalked onto the gland, not allowing it to properly work. Also fluoride-free toothpaste. What else? There's many ways you could just type into Google like decalcifying the pineal gland, but that's definitely a big place where you should be starting, is in the physical.
Yeah, I completely agree. Like this could be like an entire YouTube channel of techniques to decalcify pineal gland to awaken intuition. So yeah, the list could be long.
And on the more spiritual side is just listening. It's literally just listening.
That was my first one, is listening.
You just listen.
On the physical level, you've kind of nailed it.
Just shut up.
Yeah, main one. The next one is listening. Just listening is God. How many times have you been in a conversation with somebody where you're sitting there and they're saying something, and all of a sudden you just start thinking about pizza, and then pizza leads to like thinking about your dog, and you're just in this whole other world while somebody's looking in your eyes. You're completely somewhere else. That is the furthest thing away from your intuition. Just be present, be in the moment by sitting and listening to whoever is speaking to you, whoever is in your presence, whoever's in your space. That's such a simple way of increasing intuition. I would say another one.
That goes back to grounding into the present moment by coming into the body.
Yeah. I would say another one that ties in with this too is removing your samskaras, the patterns that are within our being, that are basically the roots of where these thoughts are sprouting from. And until we go back to certain situations that have happened in our lives, our trauma, our past, we'll start thinking about certain things. Like if you lost a girlfriend, or if you lost a loved one, and you're always kind of reminded of that, and the way you responded in that situation now happens every moment of your life in the same situation that manifests. All this that starts to manifest in your mind is a result of these patterns of samskaras. And so if you just remove your samskaras by doing the inner work and getting the emotional healing process going within you, that is another simple way of increasing intuition. And I would say the last one is integrity to vok, your word. The vok should be the ability to speak something and have it manifest in reality. Physical reality is a power that yogis have expressed for thousands of years, and it's because of just this one thing of integrity. When you say something to somebody and then you know you're going to do it, there's less thoughts involved in that process. You don't question, you don't doubt, and so I would.
You don't lie.
You don't lie, exactly. And if you do lie, it's like you have to start thinking about ways to cover your tracks. And so just coming down to being a person of integrity, and this is a tattva principle that my guru teaches, just being established in that space of integrity. These three things are the, in my opinion, really good for the metaphysical as well. And you nailed it perfectly at the first one. It's always for me, it's just listening.
Yeah. Sometimes I'll have like a student / client just be like, and blah, 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 and blah, 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 and this and that, and this and that. I'm like, listen, shut up. Close your eyes. Put your hands right here. I'm going to guide you through something
Yeah.
to be able to listen to themselves and know. Maybe we can, I don't know, you have planned more, but I wanted to touch more about the last thing that you mentioned is kind of analogous to the hot word manifestation.
So what's your question exactly with manifesting? Like how Vok has a place in that, you mean?
Yeah, kind of like just how the verbal expression goes back to like a state of knowing. I am in my integrity. I am in my authority. I'm in my worth. I'm in love.
Mm.
That is like a very important thing to manifestation is this hot word and people think it's about getting what you want and it's not exactly that. But we can circle back to that if you have something else.
No, I mean, so we manifest or we create reality in a few ways, like through our words with others, through our actions in life. When you state something to somebody and then you fulfill that word, one, that's confidence, that's you gaining confidence in you, but two, that's also life gaining confidence in you, in that if you say you're going to do something and the divine says, okay, it makes all this divine play and puts it in front of you and then you don't do it, it's like, come
It's
on,
not going to do it again.
I just did all this work for you. Where's your integrity? And so we'll, whatever it is that we do declare and voice, the more integrated we are to our own word, the more that's going to actually manifest in the physical form and be presented in front of us for us to then fulfill that word and stay integrated. So it's twofold. Like we manifest through other beings as well. It could be something as simple as if you tell somebody that you want to go meet them in a month or something, and then you just never show up. You don't talk to them again, and they just know that you're a flake. Life has that response to you as well. Life sees you as this being that can't hold the reality that you want to manifest for yourself. And so just our integrity to our word is the first thing that we can do. Everything starts with our own integrity. And this is this is not my discovery. This is one of my teachings or one of the teachings from my guru. He talks about 4 different principles: authenticity, integrity, responsibility, and enriching. And when we embrace these 4 tattvas, 4 principles, that's how we can manifest this complete state of being where whatever it is that we have within us, without us, we're unwavering, but we can manifest things that we want in the external world as well. When we're focused on just always being in that space of enriching other people, taking responsibility for their healing or something that they're going through. These 4 tattvas are really powerful. I started living these in 2014, and I was still playing professional ice hockey at the time. And I had never been a captain in my whole life, but that year I really embraced these qualities. I was named captain, and it was just because of really cognizing, internalizing, and living these truths. And I started to manifest things in my life that I didn't think I could before. So I highly recommend, again, experience this for yourself to those that are listening out there.
That's really good.
Yeah. Let me just scroll through some of the questions. We'll wrap up here pretty quick. Thank you to everybody that's tuned in live, asked questions. I'm thinking I'll probably do this once a week. Wednesdays seem to work this time around, so maybe we'll continue on this day. Really do appreciate everybody being here live and just sharing some feedback and asking your questions. Let's see. Here's one, kind of a broad question, but Devesh is asking, does regular daily practices, are they needed for third eye awakening? What would your take be on that, Savannah?
It's your daily practices are like hygiene for your spirit. So
yeah,
that alone should be motivation to do them. I like to look at every day as its own lifetime. That helps me be really grounded and present. So if today was my only lifetime, would I do my practices that help me get in touch with my intuition and third eye. Yes.
Yeah. I mean,
Is it, do you have to do it every single day? Like maybe you're sick one day? Absolutely not. But, and again, there's no expectation. It's a practice. Show up and you win.
yeah. And that's, I mean, that kind of ties back into integrity. You know, your practice, if you are integrated to meditation or to yoga or to a certain healing method or a healing process that you're going through, the more that you're consistent in showing up and sitting down, that's how anything in life worthwhile is gained and experienced. So I can't emphasize enough what it means to stay integrated to your practice, even in the face of challenges. Like when I was living in my guru's ashram, there was times where we didn't even sleep 2 hours, and you had to get up for morning yoga, and that integrity becomes like this strength, this power within you, that if you can show up to a morning yoga class and then go and function the rest of your day just on such little sleep, it helps you really ground yourself in that this is what I want and this is what I want to manifest.
And you communicate that.
Yeah. And then of course on the back end, like you start to experience all the benefits of yoga and whatnot. Like people ask me, how do you build a body? And if they've never been to the gym before, well, it's really simple. You just go to the gym, you could spend 30 minutes there, do that 3 to 5 days a week for 10 years, and you're going to have an amazing body. It's really simple. It's this consistency, this integrity to your practice, and really can't emphasize it enough.
And again, the integrity communicates to life / the universe. I'm serious. I mean it. Help me.
Yeah, exactly.
And you will be helped.
Yeah. Let's take one last question here, and then we'll wrap up. Just before we do, I want everybody to know, if you have not checked out Savannah's YouTube channel, the Blissful Bohemian. She's also on TikTok. That's
Instagram.
Instagram. TikTok is where I came across her, but she shares a lot of powerful words on her Instagram as well. YouTube, if you want a longer sound meditation, I love listening to hers there. So go check out her channel. There's links in the description already below, so don't miss out on that. And we'll take one last question here, kind of a same realm of what we've been talking about today. So how to energize your Anya chakra, the energetical aspect of it, which is basically the same thing, but what meditation methods do you use in particular for the Trinetra? Well, we could talk about Trinetra Kumbhaka. Another one just came up in my head, but do you have anything to answer or to say to him about energizing your third eye?
So I don't stop meditating until my third eye is physically buzzing. That's how I know, like, okay, we did it. We're here. We're in the zone. We're in, I think it's alpha waves, where it's like the meditative state. We're in alpha waves, and there's obviously energy here because I'm feeling like a physical buzzing. Do you know what I'm talking about? Or sometimes when I'm getting like some like I call it downloads, when I'm getting some like divine information, like it will buzz for me. So putting the awareness here during meditation, like this whole area, will help to energize it.
Yeah. There's so many different things that you and I could mention on how to energize it, whether it's visualizing a bright white light that was a technique given by Shiva in the Shiva Samhita or Shiva Sutras. And one of my favorite, though, that I think is worth mentioning is something called Shanmukhi Mudra. So remember, our intuition is beyond our senses, and you have all 7 different entrances to your senses in your face, whether it's your eyes, your smell, your hearing, closing your mouth. And so Shanmukhi Mudra, you're placing your hands, your index fingers over top of your eyes. When you do that, you're closing your eyes. You're not pressing really hard. You take your thumbs, you press them up against the ears, close the ears. You take your middle fingers and close the nostrils. You take your ring fingers and place them just under the nose, and then your pinkies over top of your lips. You hold this for about 21 minutes. You can breathe whenever you feel necessary, but what this is doing is blocking out absolutely all of the sensory receptors in the face, which is our most sensitive
So you
region.
can only go here.
Yes, exactly. And what this is, my group, is it's like you're drilling in the third eye. You're drilling like a deep, deep hole into the third eye. So that's something, another technique that anybody can practice as well. Of course, there's literally hundreds of different techniques.
That reminds me of sensory deprivation tanks.
Yeah, I love
You
those
ever
too.
done one of those?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So I would highly recommend doing that too. When you're depriving your senses, you're leaning on your third eye in a sense. You're asking your third eye to wake up. Okay, so with that though, let's wrap this up. Savannah, thank you so much for coming here today. I truly do appreciate it. This is our first time actually chatting, especially on camera. We've just been texting back and forth, and I'm so grateful that I came across you and started to
likewise.
started to try out your meditations and just learn more about your journey. So I appreciate you coming on here and sharing. Is there any last things that you would want to say to anybody out there? How can they connect with you? Is there something that you would think is maybe best for them?
You can follow me on Instagram at Blissful X Bohemian. I also think it's really cool that we both have Blissful in our names, like in our handles.
I know, right?
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Just be kind to yourself today. You're just learning. Don't judge yourself. Forgive yourself. Make time for yourself.
Yeah, I really can't stress that. I mean, we all have enough time in today's world. We're all at home. So take the time and focus on your practice. Start to have your own experiences. Quit listening to people like us and start to have your own experiences.
Yeah.
You'll have some incredible breakthroughs. So with that, thank you everybody for tuning in. We'll see you all in future videos. We're going to hop over to Savannah's Instagram now. So if you haven't been following her there, go check her out. We'll maybe continue a couple Q&A questions there. I don't know what she's got in store, but really do appreciate you guys coming in, and we'll see you in future videos. Take care, and as always, be blissful. Dridhananda.